So for those of you out there that find yourselves struggling with your KD, you've been trying to increase it season after season after season, and you've pretty much flatlined, you have plateaued. Your KD is not where you want it to be. In this video, I'm going to outline 7 tips that you can apply to your gameplay right now to increase your KD. All these 7 tips are things that I've applied, and I'm much better off now than where I was even just a few seasons ago, as many of you have seen in the gameplay videos that I've been uploading as of late. And this is not for, like, I don't know how many pro players watch this channel, if any, but this isn't for like the pros out there, the people that already have, you know, the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 KDs out there. Most of the stuff you guys already know. Again, this is specifically for those of you that find yourselves struggling, that want to increase your KD. Some things that you can apply, and we're going to go ahead and outline them. Leave a comment down below. Of course, subscribe and like. The very first thing, and I see it all the time. I see it all the time when people are sending me recordings of their gameplays, say they're getting killed by hackers, whatever have you, and I see their graphic settings. This is so basic, but I feel like there's a reminder out there. Even if, ignore the 90 FPS, but if you're playing even on balance, HD, HDR, Ultra HD, if your device can do it, don't do this. Do not play this game. If you want to get better at the game, you want to see enemies better, do not have your graphics on high resolution. High res graphics, it looks pretty, but it's not going to make you a better player. It's not going to benefit you other than just some eye candy on your screen. If you can, make sure you guys have of course, that you have the graphics on smooth. For the frame rate, bump it up to whatever your device can handle. Extreme is also or like ultra, that's 30 FPS. Extreme is 60, and of course, 90 FPS is just that, 90 FPS. So the more frames per second, the better, smoother your experience is going to be while playing this game. I always use colorful. I don't see anybody using classic, realistic, movie, but I do see some people use soft. So if you want to balance, maybe you've been using colorful for a while. If you haven't, sometimes I play on soft. The first person who showed me soft was Midas. All his gameplay is using soft style graphics. I use colorful though, but again, one of those two, colorful or soft. The second tip is going to be hot drop, but it's kind of going to be in conjunction with the third tip, which is your tier. So understand, if you're trying to increase your KD, all right, if you're trying to increase your KD and you're dropping soft, meaning you're dropping typically where other people aren't going to land, like say you're trying to rank up, increase your tier. That is the #1 thing that you do not want to do. You do not want to shy away from fights. And you see it game after game, season after season. The way people play this game is they don't drop hot. They won't even drop warm. They're dropping very remote, solely based on the fact that, you know, that they're obviously worried about dying early and about losing a lot of points. But again, like I said, this video is specifically for those of you struggling with your KDs. The only way you are going to get better at eliminating or defeating or killing other enemies is by confronting them. So the best way to do that, at least for an entire season, is to drop hot for the majority of your season. It's how you're going to get the most close quarter combat. It's how you're going to be up front in your face. It's going to give you a chance to fire guns right off the drop or right off that land that you probably wouldn't have normally used before. And it's just the best thing that you can do. It increases your game sense. If you have not hot dropped lately and you're trying to increase your KD, even if you do it for an entire season, this is what's going to help you. And what I think often happens, that's why I said tip 2 and tip 3 kind of go in conjunction with one another. So many people are worried about their tier and they want to continuously rank up every game, so they'll shy away from those hot drops. So with your tier, you don't want to be that person that is in Conquer or you're in Ace or even in Crown and you have like that 1 KD. And I know you do not want to be that person. You want your kill death ratio or the way you play the game to pretty much match the tier that you are playing at. And so many people get tied up in getting plus every single match where, you know, they're not getting any kills the entire match, or they're getting a couple bot kills. But when it comes to facing real players, they pretty much fall flat. And that's because of people constantly trying. They're more worried about ranking up than actually getting better at the game. So though that's one thing you need to be very cautious of. And that is what's going to segue into tip number 4, which is who you play with. This is probably the biggest one. I almost put this as tip number 7, but we're going to go ahead and leave it as tip number 4. But who you play with is absolutely crucial. And what I mean by that is, if you're someone who, say, isn't very good as in you don't get a lot of kills, you have a very slow reaction time, you just don't know the game very well, you're very unsure of yourself, that kind of thing, like 1-2 KDs. If you're constantly playing with people that are better than you, you're not going to get any better. And what I mean by that is, if you're playing in a squad with 3 other people that are, say, gods at this game, or they're much more advanced than you are, what's going to happen? They're going to get all the kills. They're the ones that are going to be making all the decisions in the game. And you're just pretty much like the textbook definition of getting carried. And again, you do not want to be that player either. So for those of you that are trying to get better, but you're always getting invited by, like, I don't know, pro players or just, you know, players in your clan that are really good, and you know that they're really good, and you know if you're getting carried every single match, you're not going to get better at the game. The next one is thumbs and claw. If you're a thumbs player and you're dead set on being a thumbs player, if you don't have gyro on, I would recommend, highly recommend, if you're dead set on playing thumbs, which is fine, some of the best players in this game play on thumbs. The difference is the majority of the best players in this game playing thumbs have gyro. It's something that you'll definitely want to practice. A way to go around that, which is what I do, and which a lot of other people that I know do, is they play 4-finger claw. It's a huge transition. This could be not only a whole separate video, but an entire separate series. If you guys are interested in me firing up one of those series again, like going from 3-finger, which is like paw, or going to 4-finger claw, which is what I play, and many people play. Some people play 4-finger gyro, but again, that's a whole separate thing. The more things that you can do at once, which this tip number 5, the thumbs gyro 4-finger claw, is going to segue into tip number 6. But it's about doing more things at once with your character, like moving, crouching, shooting, and aiming, doing all 4 of those things at the exact same time. So again, that could be a whole separate video, but the more things you can do at once on your screen, the better you will be. Which again, that segues into tip number 6. And this one alone, this was almost number 7. But tip number 6, without a doubt, probably made the biggest difference for me. I want to give a big shout out to Peppa Plays. But and it has to do with the close quarter combat situations, where I would often find myself losing the majority of them, especially as I was ranking up and, you know, going head to head against, you know, better players in Crown, in Ace, in Conquer. And that is learning how to do the crouch fire, and with that, learning how to drop shot. These 2 techniques, and these can only be made possible when you master thumbs gyro, or if you master a 3 or 4-finger claw. Because there'll be times you're coming up on an enemy, you know, you're running, they go ahead and pop out, and immediately you'll see, like a lot of my gameplay videos, or, you know, other people's videos, you'll crouch down, you aim, you know, and you're firing while moving all at the same time. And what this does, and drop shot's even more beneficial, but drop shot is crouch fire. Crouch fire, I think, is much more like universal. It can be used in more situations. Where drop shot, you know, it's pretty much that surprise. It's like that one-on-one, and it's a great way to trip up the enemy where they just do not expect it, and you end up winning that fight. especially when you're very, very low HP. And that's because the enemy is not expecting that. They're expecting when they're shooting you, when you go ahead, when you crouch, or especially if you drop shot, all of a sudden your reticle is already pointed at them and you're firing, where what they have to do is they have to react to the move that you just made. And they're going to be behind you in that reaction time. They have to do that follow-up. So what ends up happening is they have to aim down when you're already locked onto them, and you end up winning a lot of these close quarter combat fights. And again, often people are not expecting it. So mastering the crouch fire and the drop shot is absolutely huge. Now, tip number 7, and a lot of these could have ended up as tip number 7. It's not technically in order, but I guess it kind of is. But tip number 7, which is absolutely huge, is improving your reaction time. Speed, being faster at reacting to the enemy. And this kind of sums up everything. It's very simple. Just say, oh yeah, just get faster or have better reaction time. This all goes into the thumb's gyro or the forefinger claw, which also goes into the crouch fire and the drop shots, reacting to the enemy very, very quick, instead of, you know, that split second where you hesitate and both parties are going to be landing their shots. Because you hesitated, you know, 0.1 seconds behind the enemy, they go ahead and they get that knock. Even if you light them up, it doesn't matter. You're knocked and they're not. So reaction time is absolutely huge. The best way, of course, to increase reaction time is not only using tips, basically not necessarily tip number 1, but tips 2 through 6 will all help the reaction time, applying all of these methods. But definitely doing TDMs where you're constantly, it's non-stop CQC the entire time. So TDMs, and of course, just getting those games under your belt. Taking a loss, knowing why you lost, accepting it, not always pointing and just blaming, oh, it was my lag, it was my ping, or it was this, or it was that. Oh, my finger, my button didn't work. My button that I pressed didn't actually do. No, you pressed the wrong button. Like, just admit it. Like, you didn't press the right button. So things like that. So increasing your reaction time and tying all 7 of these tips together, even including the graphics, that alone will increase a lot of your guys' gameplay. But yeah, so these are the 7 things that I've applied, and I definitely, personally have noticed, and many others have as well. Again, these are for those of you that are struggling, that want to increase your KD. You just maybe didn't know how. You've hit a plateau. You hit that sticking point. And applying these 7 tips, I guarantee you will break through that glass ceiling. You'll increase your KD, which will overall make you a better player. And being a better player, you'll have more fun at the end of the day playing the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, I'm excited to read all of your guys' comments. But until the very next video, this has been Riggs from Riggs Gaming.